Good evening. Welcome to the third episode of Book It Now. I am your humble host, Q, and I'm very excited to be here today. I want to thank you for joining me on this continued journey of empathy, growth, and understanding. I would implore you to check out our last two episodes with actor Clifton Powell and former ambassador of international religious freedom, Dr. Susan Johnson Cook. We covered an array of topics that I think you would appreciate, so I do implore you to check those out. You can find them on the Book It Now Facebook page, or you can go to our YouTube channel, Book It Now TV. You can also go to our website, www.bookitnowtv.com. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, I would love to meet you and share with you as well. Today's guest has been in sports forever. You know? He has spent the last 50 years in youth sports as a referee, as a coach, as a parent. He's been a basketball guru, if you will. He's a D1 scholarship holder for George Mason University, their star guard back in the day. And like I mentioned, he has been refereeing and coaching for the better part of the last 3 decades. He currently is a co-host for WPFW's The Collision with Dave Zirin. Dave.
Thomas.
And Tom Thomas. And with the Wizards.
That's
right.
That's
where politics and sports collide, so you can hear him there as well. He's also the author of 2 books, Hooked on Hoops, Understanding the Black Youth's Devotion to Basketball, and Playing Time, Tough Truths About AAU Basketball, Coaches, Parents, and Athletes.
That's right. Yep.
Welcome to the show,
Thank you.
Mr. Kevin
McNutt.
Thank
you, my good man.
Thank
Good
you
to
for
see
joining
you, man.
me. Good to see you.
Yes,
Good to see you.
Yeah.
I want to talk about all these things you cover in the book.
Let's do it.
But I really want to start here, with your background, where you're from, and how you got into basketball.
Man, look, started out Southeast boy.
Southeast.
You got no choice
DC.
but the Southeast DC. You got no choice but to pick up that basketball.
That's
you
true.
know, and interest the kids don't do it today, but at that time you played all 3. Depending on the season.
Okay.
Took
all 3.
Yeah, basketball, baseball, football, and then basketball was my sport. Fell in love with it. And then it's just the offshoot of that. And then different than most, I was a military brat.
Okay.
So we traveled. My family traveled quite a bit, and every time we would go, we lived in Japan, we lived in Holland, and the bond was sports. So that's how I made friends.
Yeah.
Just playing ball. So so I became a big advocate for sports on all levels, not just playing, but how it can connect you to other people of all different races. One quick thing people don't understand: when we were in Holland, you had to live in the community.
Really? How long were you in Holland?
We were for 2 years.
2 years.
Most times back in those days, and I'm talking about late 60s, early 70s, you went to school, and the military would send you on assignment, your father on assignment.
Okay.
And it was 3 years.
Okay.
So you bounced around 3 years. We were fortunate that we were in D.C. My father got shipped to Holland, where we went Japan, came to D.C., then we went to Holland, but we were coming back to D.C., which was good, because by that time I got
How old were you?
13, 14, we went to Holland.
Oh,
so
wow.
I played balls as a freshman. And but our school was international. We had Canadians, Germans, English, and us, Americans there. So I was the only black in the school.
Really?
What
was that
like?
like?
My sister. It was cool because of the bond of basketball. And I was, okay, here you go. I was one of the better players on the team as a freshman, even though we had sophomore, juniors, and seniors. So came back, and this is interesting. I was at the newsstand on base, and knew we were coming back home after my freshman year. And I just thumbed through Street and Smith. I don't know if it was Street and Smith sports magazine, basketball magazine. I'm thumbing through it. St. Anthony's High School, #1 in the nation. And at the time, they had Donald Washington. Your father eventually went up there, and we played together. And a whole cast of other players. Merlin Wilson, that went to Georgetown, Jonathan Smith, some others. I told my mom, when we go back stateside, I want to go to that school. I was a basketball player. I was a star there. So I could roll in there and be a star.
So,
And then I went to St. Anthony's. We had productive programs there, and I mean, just the best of times. Like I say, your father was in the front court. You know, I made him go get the rebound. Here's what happened.
It's tall enough.
Nobody's going to hear this, right? I would tell him to go get the rebound, throw me the outlet. Then I tell him, you stay right there. I'll be right back. I went down and shot that thing. You know what I'm saying? But, no, your father was an excellent ball player. But then after that, I started getting serious about the game because I went on to play George Mason.
Okay.
As a walk-on, actually, then earned a scholarship.
Really?
Yeah, earned a scholarship.
So talk about that experience.
It's just you got to go in there and fight. I mean, when I came out of San Diego, I didn't have a lot of opportunities. Went to George Mason with another teammate of mine, Stephen Dyer, rest in peace, and just fought. At that time, they were still freshman units.
Okay.
At the colleges. Now you just go and you had the varsity trial for the team.
So there were different teams.
Yes, you play JV.
Okay.
It was the last year before they got rid of JV programs at the colleges, and played there my freshman year. We had a 21-1 team.
Wow.
I made varsity as a sophomore.
Okay.
And then by the time by my junior year, I led the team in scoring and assists.
Oh wow.
And they gave me a scholarship, which they should have did.
Yeah.
And then after that, I couldn't play at the level. Real work took it. You had to play. You had family. You had to work every day.
Yeah.
So I said, well, you know what? I'm not playing at a level. I'm not going to go pro. Got into refereeing. One of the best. Here's a quick story. Two things I did not want to do coming out of school.
What?
I didn't want to get into sales.
Okay.
And I didn't want to be a referee. I hated referees when I was playing ball.
Oh yeah, that was.
And that's both things I did for 30 years plus. I became a referee, and I started. I got into sales, but then Monica, my daughter, was born. Melanie, my second daughter. Monica was tall and played ball. Went on to college and so forth. But also as refereeing, I started taking a much more serious view of things.
Right.
What's going on here? What's going on in my people, my community? Man, we love basketball. I mean, don't we ever? And as I refereed all basketball, youth level, CYO,
NCAA.
church league, high school,
school.
even some college, the Division II level, especially with AAU, because AAU, when I was at it sort of mushroomed. It blew up in the middle '80s, okay, to where you see what it is today and all the problems that go with it. All the problems are magnified, and that's another topic. As I start seeing in the venom and the participation and the anger of parents and the lack of knowledge, especially, told me to get there, and this is where these two books came from.
Okay.
Just to educate people and let them know some of the things that they think they know and don't.
Right.
And I'm talking about parents as well as youth, more so the parents.
So what is that? What have you seen as far as the culture of basketball? I guess specifically AAU over the last 40 years.
Well, like I said,
How has it changed? How is it?
Big money got a hold of it. Big money. First of all, it was just people were playing, and the opportunities were, okay, I'm getting a scholarship. It was more fun. But then the shoe companies came, Nike, Adidas, Reebok. Then you started,
And so what are these shoe companies doing?
They're sponsoring the team. Their goal, their goal is to find the diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
And then have him becoming a sponsor for their shoe, and go into the league, and then all the eyeballs on him, and then you go out and buy it.
Right.
And that came from Jordan, obviously, first of all, because
Kobe.
Because his client, Jordan, broke our hearts because he hit the shot when North Carolina beat Georgetown in '82, I think it was, and then he went pro, and then the marriage between Phil Knight, Nike, and Jordan, and that's that. It was gone after that because Jordan and what he brought in with Spike Lee and the commercials. It must be the shoes and all that. That started it. That it was rock. It was gone. And from that point on, everybody said, "Okay, so how do we do this? How do we find the next Jordan?"
Right.
Well, we got to start beyond the college level, beyond the high school. And it went all the way down to AAU to say we can find the next Jim, the next Diamond, the next Jordan, the next LeBron. All those players between Jordan and LeBron. Then we pay them. So the push was out, and they put guys on the street. They created teams. They created programs. They created tournaments. It was gone.
Yeah.
It was gone. AAU has been around for 125 years. This is what people don't understand.
Oh, wow.
They all think AAU started with
it's an
basketball.
institution then.
There's AAU boxing. AAU has a whole multitude of sports.
Right.
And actually, AAU didn't. I guess the advertising slogan is all advertising is good and bad.
Right.
So AAU didn't say, hey, we are separate from AAU because the name blew up and everybody called it AAU when really it was just travel basketball.
Right. Mm-hmm.
AAU does not. AAU has a separate thing from all the tournaments you're hearing about in Vegas and Peach Jam in Atlanta. All of that is different.
So what's the difference there?
AAU has their own website and their own tournaments down in Orlando at their headquarters. That's it.
Right.
Okay? But everybody says, I'm playing AAU because it got so big for summer sports.
Uh-huh.
It got so big, and your parents' chest swelled, your chest swelled.
Yeah.
You played AAU?
Sure. Yeah.
Because you're playing AAU basketball. Well, you really weren't. It wasn't sponsored by AAU, but AAU didn't go back. They didn't try to sue everybody for using their name or anything like that. They just kind of wrote a storm. Mm-hmm. And then you started hearing about all the negatives, about under the table money, paying players, teams jump from team to team, and all this stuff. You got to get real with that, though. That was happening with the 5-star players.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Okay. LeBron, Kevin Garnett, Kobe, all of this. Most players aren't at that level.
Right.
If you pick up right now, the season's getting ready to start. College basketball is getting ready to start. NBA starts tonight.
Thank God.
You pick up a magazine, or you pick up Hoop Group, or any of these websites that follow players. You will see only about 5 guys. You only 5-star. You will see about 30 guys that are 5-star, which is the highest star you can get.
Right.
The guys that go to Duke and Kentucky, the one and dones. There's about 30 of them that are ranked. Most players fall in the 1-star, 0-star, 2-star. The 5-stars and the 4-stars, that's where you get into payoffs and so forth and so on. Most of the guys that are playing AAU, they're not involved in that. There's thousands of them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You don't
thousands,
have to,
hundreds of thousands.
It's the cats that can turn your program around and take you from being 15-15 to 26-1 and heading to the Final Four. Those are few and far.
Right.
And the money from that, from 15-15 to 25-1, is big because you're going from not making the tournament to going to the Final Four, and their tournaments in the billions. So actually, you pay and you fight, and you have all the underbelly of AAU sports. But most guys, it's just good, hard-working guys that he had coaching their sons, coaching their youth teams.
Absolutely.
You've been through all that. You played on those type of programs, and just trying to do the thing, trying to do it the right way.
Right.
But because people don't want to hear that, they want to hear about, well, how did he go to this school, and what was that? No, it's the stuff they're going through now that the FBI stepped into around this time last year, with the subpoenas, and they caught some coaches. Rick Pitino got fired at Louisville. All that kind of stuff. That's the underbelly, and that really is in the stratosphere for just a very, very few select players. Most are just 0 stars, 1 star, 2 stars, just trying to get better and hopefully catch an eye of a college.
Yeah. And well, you spoke of playing in Holland, playing back in DC. What differences or similarities do you see from your time as a youth player to the current state now?
Boy, I tell you, Q, that's a great question. I said the game is taught better.
Okay.
You have so many venues now that we didn't have when we played in the 70s. Your dad, all the guys that were at St. Anthony's. Man, we just went to the gym and played.
Yeah.
Now there's pro and con of that, because you got organized ball at 8, 9, which I'm not a fan of. I just think that's overkill, and I think that's a money grab. But you have organized sports at 8, 9. Now there was some of that, but not at the magnitude that you have it now. But you have so many vehicles to learn. You can go on YouTube and learn by yourself.
Yep.
There's so many guys out there with a business card saying I'm a trainer, and that's yeah, okay. You have film. You have the explosion of camps is just incredible.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Then you have the AAU programs themselves. So the vehicles to learn, and the game is played at a much faster pace than it was when we played in high school. Our particular team, we had a huge team, and our program was to get it inside out, which is, I got to say that. Inside out means you want to throw the ball inside, hopefully score, and then if you can't score, you kick it out. Well, now the game's played outside in, because you got the 3-point strike. So everybody's coming down, and then you got you had the fast break Lakers in the 80s with Magic Johnson, but now you got the Golden State Warriors. You just get out, push. So the game's at a much more faster pace. The guys are they're better athletes. To train, their weight training, there's film. A lot of that stuff wasn't taking place for us. Sometimes I think organization is not always good because it stifles independence, it stifles freedom, it stifles independent thought on and off the court. Mm-hmm. But it is what it is now, and it's not going anywhere. We're going to talk about that later on, about the money that's involved in youth sports. But that's the biggest difference.
Yeah. Speaking of the money that's involved in youth sports, why don't we take a look at a clip from a NBC affiliate out in California, I believe, about their story on youth sports and the money involved.
It's still exciting for me.
Fuzzy Buckenberger started coaching fast pitch softball 36 years ago. And in that time, he's seen the game he loves turn into something far different.
When we played the game, we always went to the park. They don't do that no more.
You don't see many kids wrangling up their neighbors and picking teams because they've got real teams across town.
I got it!
Fuzzy admits he knows all about those competitive sports teams. He coaches one of them, and his 15-year-old granddaughter, Skyla, who also plays at Shadle Park High School, is part of it.
I love how competitive I can get and how I've met so many great people, and I've had such a great friendship, and I've met most of my friends here.
It's important Skyla find friendship with her teammates, considering she plays the sport year-round.
She doesn't get to go to a birthday party, but instead she's with 10 of her best friends all weekend long, playing a fun sport, and afterwards bonding and becoming really good friends.
1, 2, 3, Shadle!
While it's still just a game for the girls, Skyla's mom, Tammy, has seen firsthand how families are sacrificing time and money for their kids to be on the right team.
I hear people who have taken out second mortgages on their house so that their daughter can play competitive sport. That's a little crazy to me.
Some parents spend up to $15,000, $20,000 a summer.
It's not just fast pitch. Parents tell me they're forking out dough for kids in every sport. $6,000 a year for a 16-year-old to play select soccer, $8,000 to be on an elite high school volleyball squad, or for a 12-year-old to participate on a mid-level competitive gymnastics team, nearly $9,000 for youth hockey. Tammy admits she'll get a second job to pay the $700 dues for Fuzzy's team and for the 6 weekends they'll travel this summer for tournaments.
I got it!
In 2014, youth sports tourism became the fastest growing segment of travel, becoming a $7 billion industry. Parents are also managing sports careers, acting as agents for their kids.
Truly go to every tryout, let them be noticed, and just start talking to people, because really the more people you know, definitely the better off you are.
Are families doing this with the idea of a college scholarship, or is it something else?
Bingo. They all think they're going to get the college scholarship.
Stats from the NCAA show odds are stacked against them. On average, nearly 2% of high school boys and 3% of high school girls will play at the Division I level.
Yeah.
Fuzzy, Tammy, and Skyla say no matter what happens, they won't remember what they gave the sport. They'll remember what it gave to them.
If it becomes a job, then it's not for you.
You have to love it, and which I do. I love the sport.
And what do you think the most important thing is that these kids take away from it?
That you can reflect and have good memories and have a fun time. A fun time.
Wow. So they talk about thousands of dollars. Thousands of dollars.
Yep.
$8,000 to be on a volleyball team, right? $6,000 for travel soccer, right? And then, you spoke about AU being separate from travel basketball and that $7 billion industry of travel sports.
Yes.
So, you've been a parent through this. You refereed. Are you seeing the effects on households, or did you feel that yourself?
Well, we were a grassroots program. We did what we tried to do. We traveled the AAU route, going to tournaments and so forth and so on. It's getting so big now that it's actually putting the black family out of it.
What do you mean by that?
Because they just don't have the funds to do it.
Yeah.
They just don't have the suburban, yes. City kids, no, man. Where they come up with that kind of money? They can't, so they're almost being excluded from it, being priced out.
Right.
Being priced out. They can't pay those kind of numbers, man. They can't do that.
Do you think that affects competition? And
it affects everything because as it relates to basketball. Right. So the only way it happens, the kid has to show that he's got upside to where somebody wants to sponsor him, put him on a program, which is happening. They get shoe companies, and these teams are out in the street year round trying to find talent.
Right.
But for I might not be able to do that now. For Monica or I know tons of parents just can't. Let's price them out. They can do something on a local level.
The woman in the video said she's got to take a second job.
And two things are happening. It gets so big with that's the only way to get your son or daughter into school to get a scholarship. So, and the quest to get that scholarship with the rising cost of the college education. So now they get all in. I mean, get a second job and all that, and then most of that is talking about summer.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We're not talking about year round.
Because then what did it say, 6 for their next 6 weeks?
Yes. You know, and then if they try to. A lot of these parents, they aren't going to a public school either. They're going to a private school, and those numbers are climbing every day. You know, so you factor that in, and you got to do what you think is right. You're a parent. I'm not saying the pros and cons of that, but you got to. And what I find out, Quentin, and this is a big thing. I'm not so sure who they're doing it for. Or let me put it this way: they might be doing more for themselves than their children. Because I can tell you, man, I've seen, especially on football, you play a little for a minute there, and I think you kind of, I ain't about all this hitting, you know.
Well, I was just taller.
Right.
It made more sense.
And I can see refereeing youth football, youth basketball, and I'm talking about maybe 10, 12, and just in rec leagues of the intensity, the parents yelling and the crowd yelling and so forth. And the kids are not, I don't want to do this. I don't. It's not in there. And so, I mean, parents can put the $6,000 out for volleyball or soccer and what have you. You can get all the equipment. You can get some fancy trainer and some academy and all this kind of stuff. But it ain't in here. It has a top end. You know what I'm saying? Because right here, because at some point there's going to come a time where the rubber hits the road, and you're going to making your mind: do I want to do this? Do I don't want to do it? And more times out of 10, a lot are going to say, I just, because your heart and passion for it will sustain you through the tough times and injury. You tear up your knee. Do I want to go through all this rehab? You know what I'm saying? Do I want to go to this school that's 2,000 miles from my family, and that's the only one that offered me a scholarship? I don't know. You know, and so that's the test of time. And I can tell, I've seen it at 10, 11, just the deer in the headlights look of kids that they don't want to be out here. Mommy and daddy saying you are going to be because they're so tired, because they're tall, or they're well built. And it could be just their ego. You know, my son's playing AAU, you know. Okay, and they got the wherewithal, they got the money that they can put out there. But you can't buy talent. You can't buy heart. That's for sure.
That's true.
So, but, you know, a lot of black kids. One of our teammates, Lang Reese, had started a program just to get DC kids an opportunity to play. A grassroots program, no shoe sponsorship. Went in there, and I was refereeing it's called the Inner High here in DC. And I would go and referee, and I'd say, hey, you want to play? I got a guy who has a program. We talked to the coaches. And he had a grassroots program that he had for 5-6 years, just inner city kids to give him a chance to play. But it was hard. He had there was fundraising. Those kids had no money. Matter of fact, to show you a perfect example, when he mentioned this to some in Prince George's County, for our audience, that's a suburb of DC, and
where we are currently,
right, where we from as we speak. Coaches told him that's the last thing you want to do. This is 12 and 13 players he was after. He said, that's the last thing you want to do. You don't want to go in and get kids in the city. One, they don't pay. The parents ain't got no money. And the kids are going to be disloyal. And I was with him when this conversation took place. And we looked at those guys, and I'm going to be respectful of your audience and respectful of you. Didn't say what we wanted to say about them. You know what I mean? Because here they are charging top dollars and just taking people's money. But Lang was undeterred, and he went into the city and got kids. Had a very successful program. Beat some of the high-powered Nike-sponsored shoe teams on his quest. Went to Vegas twice because he fundraised. His team got good. So, but I'm not sure he could do that now because the prices is going up every year.
So where is the line drawn between those big sponsor teams and the grassroots? Where you're at the point where you can fundraise enough to send your team to Vegas that has the appearance that we're big time, right? But if at the end of the day you spent the last 4 months building up to that point, no one sees that when you're out there and you have these kids and they're winning and they see all that. So where's that line drawn? Is that something that you just have to personally know, or is?
Are you talking about for a coach? Are you talking about a kid? I mean, or both?
I'm talking about, I guess, just for both.
Yeah.
Mostly like the community. You know, I'm thinking more for the parents.
Right.
They may want to get their child signed up.
Right.
For AAU, and they don't know which way to go, but maybe, okay, I've heard of DC Assault, I've heard of Team Takeover. I'm not too familiar with Bowie Magic, so I don't know so where's that line drawn for the big the grassroots and then those big fellas?
Okay, good point, because everybody knows if you look into and do your research, you can find the big programs, but they've already been recruiting year round. You try to February, you look for a team. Well, they've already been practicing. You know what I mean, and getting ready for the April circuit. They take the circuit, so you don't have a choice. They might have a tryout, but you can't. They've got the best of the best from the area. They got the best of the best from the private schools. They got the best of the best from the public schools.
Absolutely,
because they are recruiting. I'm at a game in January. And you mentioned DC Assault, which is no longer there. I think it's. I'm drawing a blank now. They under new management, new name.
Okay,
but the point is, I was at a refereeing a game in January out in Columbia, which is a suburb beyond the suburb, because you have to go to get to Columbia. You have to go through Montgomery County, and which is a suburb immediately outside of our city here in the Columbia. And they were there on a snowy January at 7:00, and I said, "Hey, what are you guys doing here?" See that kid right there? He was the best kid on the floor. So they already know. So by the time parents go around and say, I want to put my kid on the team, and I've heard of assault, and I've heard of takeover, they've already got their players. So then you have to go to grassroots, and that's when parents come in and they say, okay, I'll build a team. And they try to get kids to do the best they can. The end game, though, is what? To get a scholarship.
Right.
And so if some kids go and get a scholarship, and by the way, it's not all about D1. There are opportunities to play
on every level.
At D2, D3, they can put a package together for you if you don't have the money. NAIA is an excellent brand of ball. So there are other scholarships.
What do you think the stigma is for programs that aren't D1? Like, why do you think, this...
TV. They aren't on TV, and everybody say, I want my kids, and my kid get to Maryland, my kid get to Georgetown, and I'm dealing with the local school, much less the Kentuckys and the Dukes and all of those. But that's okay if you don't make that. I mean, there's High Point where you went to school. There's and that's D1 basketball.
D1.
You got Hampton University, you got Howard. That's D1 ball. They're one-bit schools, and you might not see them on TV, but once or twice. But that's okay. That's good ball. And the bottom line, your mom and daddy have to write a check. You're there. So there you have D2 programs, and D2's not on TV. You have to search the net, search your cable to try to find them. But guess what? Again, great education. You get out of school in 4 years, and mommy and daddy didn't have to write a check.
Or maybe a little bit.
Well, right. Well, that's the point, because I think they have 10 scholarships to give, and most teams have 15 players, so they might do partials or that kind of thing. But that's the ultimate test. People, I want to get exposure. Well, okay, you get exposure. That still doesn't guarantee a scholarship. Now, there's also opportunities to travel for when Lang Reese had his team in D.C. A lot of those cats have never been out of the city.
Out of the city.
I'm not trying to make light of it, but they went out and said, "What is that?" It was a cow. These are kids that had not left Southeast. So that was their first time being exposed to that outside of seeing it on TV. I remember one time he took 12-year-olds to the Mormon Temple right around the Beltway.
Disney World.
That's exactly what they said. We had Disney World. No, we're not. We've been in the car 20 minutes. That's in Florida. What are you talking about? But that's exposure, you see. And then he stuck with some of those kids, and then next thing they're going to Vegas and Myrtle Beach and Florida and so forth. So that's some of the things you have to understand. Being exposed to certain things, being exposed out of town, going out of town, staying in different hotels, and plane rides, first plane rides for a whole rack of kids.
Yeah, certainly.
So those things are benefits of it too. And Coach Reese was an excellent coach. Helped her with fundamentals, and they turned that in and had good careers on the high school teams. Did it manifest into a college scholarship? No. More didn't than did. You know what I'm saying? But look at the big picture.
Right.
That's why I say AAU does a lot of good work.
right?
Yeah.
And, in doing so, and, especially looking at the big picture, what is it that, I guess, the adults, the parents, the coaches, what is it that we can do to kind of show kids the other avenues that are available? Because I can guarantee you most of those kids playing out there wouldn't think about being a referee, right? But you're just as close to the game. You're still involved.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yep.
You wouldn't go, oh, I don't want to be a coach.
Yep.
You mean I got to coach my middle school team? What was the steps to this? And just showing them different avenues outside of just chasing the hoop dreams. And now you're 26 and you've done nothing else.
Fantastic question. Fantastic question. I had a nonprofit that I started up several years ago. Actually, before I wrote the first book. And the intention was to, you're a basketball player, and you think you're going to league. Fine, I'm never going to tarnish your dreams. Right. Go. But let's say you have the injury. Let's say you don't make it. So the concept was, okay, I want to take a group of kids. Have your dream. Keep your dream. Play ball. Get it. But if you don't, so I said, okay, and I would approach a group of kids, and I would say, okay, look, you think about all the jobs and careers that you can touch within sports. And I would say this, they were 12, 13, I said,
all over the world.
Do you know that somebody sits behind that basket at an NBA game with a camera and just films the whole game? What you talking about, coach? I said, yeah, that's a cameraman. So the process was to take them, and the goal was to get kids, get them on a bus, take them to the Wizards game. Only the game starts at 7. We get there at 5. Let them tour the arena and see all the jobs and careers. Entrepreneurs, the people with the posters and selling the jerseys, the production truck, the trainers,
salesmen.
The coaches.
Somebody got to get those people in those seats.
Come on now, come on. Salesmen, all these entrepreneurial opportunities that they can have, and say, yeah, chase the dream, have it. And the premise was, I called it the second dream. Have your second dream. I'm not saying nothing against trying to get the league, trying to be the next LeBron. Have a second dream, and that can be, If you like sports, become a general manager, become a newspaper reporter. Well, an ESPN reporter, or whatever the case may be. You stay in touch with the game that you love so much. So that's a great question. And some of those programs did that. Some of those programs some of the AAU programs, Coach Reese's program, had mentorship programs. You know what I mean? Tutorials to try to keep these guys engaged. And when he went on a trip, and that's the conundrum. Sometimes you go on a trip, and because the games are tight, and you're playing 3 games in a day, and then you get out of pool play, you've been there. All it's about basketball. They don't want you to go out and go see a city. Right. No. That's gonna wear your legs. You're gonna get tired. You're gonna be able to play. So that becomes onus on the parents saying, well, guess what? We're gonna tour this too. We're gonna get the whole experience.
And I fortunately had good coaches that would take us out on tours. I remember the first time I went out to Memphis. For AAU, we went out and we went to the hotel where Dr. King was assassinated. There we go. We toured there. We went around the city.
The big picture.
Yeah, we got to see different things. Yes, so certainly, those opportunities are available.
Yes, and Coach Reese said it with it. They went to see other things. They were exposed to other parts of the country, other types of foods and things of this nature. So it's and a parent has to do that. The parent has to balance that. I know when I wrote that book right there, my first book, I put in there. I said, look, you're talking about the money, but it's also a family situation.
Right.
You can be gone on Mother's Day, 4th of July, Father's Day.
Yeah.
Where do you draw the line?
Whole weekend.
You know what I mean? Summer vacations are gone because our summer vacation is because we're going to be at a tournament at Raleigh for 3 days. You know what I'm saying? So where do you have to draw? And that's a balance act that I'm just going to put it out there. The parent has to make that decision. I'm just letting you know that.
So how was that balancing act for you? Because you helped guide Monica all the way up to a D1 scholarship. Right. Monica McNutt, you may be familiar with her. She's killing, being an announcer. She's broadcasting, radio, podcast. She's doing her thing. Still involved in sports.
That's correct.
Interviewing players after the games, doing recaps and highlights.
Yes.
But
thank you for that plug.
Of course,
she's watching. So
I've worked out with her. We've worked out together. Up until a couple of years ago, she was an athlete.
Right.
And had been an athlete. Right. So what is that conversation like in your household coming up?
Well, She was good. So
she was,
the AAU thing, and I'm saying that because the AAU thing wasn't our sole source to get a scholarship. She could play,
right?
So she was going to be seen because and I knew that it's not a AAU or bus type of situation.
Right.
You can play at your high school program and still get recognized. They will find you. If you can play, they will find you to this day. Matter of fact, it's easier for them to find you today than it was when me and your dad played.
That's true.
You know, because of social media and all the networks out there. You can play a game and by the time you get home after you finish that game, it's already on YouTube or social media venue of your choice. So you can find. So you don't have to be locked in that it's AAU or bus. Play ball, work on your game, and we did that. So the AAU for us was really just to do it, say the novelty of it, and so forth and so on, and play and play against top competition. Because she signed to go to Georgetown at the end of her junior year, so her senior was just playing ball,
right?
You know?
Yeah.
But that's a fine line that you got to draw because you're giving up. You know, you talk about the money, but you're giving up vacation time. You got to take off of work.
Late nights for practice, driving all over the place.
Yeah, man. So the family has to really weigh how much they want to do this. And what is not said is, Junior, do you really want to do this? Do you? Is it in your heart? Do you go to the bed at night thinking of getting a college scholarship, playing at the next level?
Right.
You know.
Right, and that's
Because
certainly.
sometimes I don't think that question's asked. I don't know by a lot of parents.
And my dad used to ask me that all the time. I think mostly because he could kind of see, like, what are you doing? Like, you're not working out hard.
Right.
I gotta come wake you up, and I don't want to be up. I gotta drive you to the gym at 7 a.m. and you don't want to get up.
But I got to jump in there. And your dad was a workout warrior, and I understand. There's a fine, and that's part of the education of being a parent. Some parents look at their kid and say, "Well, he's laying in bed, Saturday morning. I was up running. I was up at the gym." Sometimes, especially at that ages from 12 to 14 or 10 to 14, something like that, it's okay to say, if they really want to do this thing, to say, get up. We said we're going to work out. Let's go get our hour and a half, 2-hour workout in. Some parents say, nah. He didn't want it. He's not committed. You know. No, you're a young person. Right. So you stayed up all night on the phone. You stayed up playing whatever
2K.
you 2K all night long, and you overslept.
Right.
So okay, guess what? You gonna get up.
Deal with it.
You after 2 hours, go back to bed. And it's okay to say, get up, Johnny. Get up, Q. Let's do this thing. And but then some parents, so it becomes a thin line. I don't want to be one of those micromanaging helicopter dads or mom and so forth. No, get them up, and then get them out to the gym, get in. That's what we did with Monica. So she was committed, but so many times I said, Monica, it's Friday night. I said we're gonna get up shots in this town. To find a gym in January or February, you had to get up early.
You had to,
because leagues start and the gyms are packed, and so you had to get up early. So I would say, hey, we get up at 7 o'clock. Yeah, okay, I'm down. And then I'm going to bed. I'm old, so I'm gone. But she's up doing the things I just said. So let's go, Monica. All right, go ahead. Get up. Monica, I said, get up. So her jaws are tight. She ain't talk to me on the ride to the gym. She ain't talk to me to putting her shoes on. We gonna do this or what? I can leave. And she gets her attitude together. We get a good spirited hour and a half workout. Gone. I come back, Monica. Bye. Go back to bed. I don't need to see you the rest of the day. So it's a thin balance. But part of that is how much is on the young athlete wants to do it. She wanted to do it. Sometimes she needed a nudge.
And was there a nudge, or was that kind of more self-discovery when she saw her opportunity to take the avenue into broadcasting?
That came late. That came on a humble. She was at Georgetown and playing ball, and the coach took her after she had a good game. Coach took her to be in the interview room, and the Q&A, and Monica was gregarious and outspoken, and hey, you know what? I might want to do this. So that started her, into wanting to take it to being in journalism, broadcasting, and so that just came by happenstance. She said, "I like this. I like being in front of kids, sort of like you. Smile, look good. The rest was history with that."
Great.
It's a tough field, though.
It is.
Very tough.
It
field.
is. Yeah. It is. And seeing her grow up and grow through this whole experience of youth sports to collegiate sports, D1 sports. Talk about being a parent. For that.
But Okay, that's a tough discussion because I played the game,
Right.
and I was successful at the game. High school started for St. Anthony, a power program here in D.C. Went to college, walk on, earned a scholarship, and then I was refereeing. So I'm not the normal parent. Most don't reach that type of level, and that's not bragging. That's just factual. You know what I mean? Most careers end for most people below high school,
Right.
if they get to high school.
Right.
The numbers just aren't there.
Right.
You know. So I had played. So I had a different perspective. I wasn't out there hooping and hollering and jumping up and down and berating referees or always trying to find the holy grail of the right program.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? It was all about advancing because I'd been there. So there's a peace and a commitment and contentment and understanding of the process. You see.
And so do you think
so
there's a lack of that elsewhere?
Oh, absolutely. Parents just don't know. They just don't know. And even beyond that now, as we mentioned earlier, with what a college education costs and the quest for the to get there through the scholarship when they know there's no other way to get there, they get berserk. They get berserk. I mean, and that's what led me to write both these books. But especially the first one was that, I mean, the venom that was addressed at me, their coach, other parents, players. Quentin, I was at this past Saturday. I'm working rec league. They want to call it AAU, but it's rec league, glorified rec. And we actually called the game because a mother wanted to engage a 13-year-old on the court.
Wow.
I mean, again, there was a little tussle, this little jump ball situation. We called jump ball. Yes. And this was the second time in the game. So we said, oh, this game's over. And because the kid gets up, and I'm not sure it was her child that was in the scrum, and the kid must have waved up and said, and who are you telling me? Comes on the floor. It had nothing to do with the referees. The game was quiet. It wasn't a physical game. Oh, tweet, game over.
Yeah.
Saturday morning in a rec league game. Okay, we're gonna talk about that.
Yeah. Let's take a quick look at Steve Kerr providing some advice to crazy parents and sports parents. When he was talking to some of the reporters out there in Golden State. Let's take a look.
What PTA does is working with sports parents and getting them to understand their role in their kids' sports experience. So I'm curious if you have any advice as a sports parent for the folks.
I do. I got plenty of advice. Mouth shut. Really, just shut up. It's the best thing. When I played youth sports, I had the worst temper. And I had an awful temper, and I was embarrassing. And my mom and dad would come to the games. They wouldn't come to all of them, but they'd come to a lot of them. And my dad was he was always very quiet at these games, and I'd make an out in baseball or give up a hit, whatever, and throw a tantrum. And my dad would always just be very patient. He didn't say anything. And once I got home, and calmed down a little bit, he'd talk to me and. Why'd you get so upset? Maybe it would be a good idea to, try to be a little less emotional during game. But having coached my kids in junior high, I was just blown away by how many parental coaches there were during the game. And how can you possibly play at 10 years old when you got 12 people yelling at you? You got the two coaches, you got, your parents, and you got 8 other fans. Keep your eye on the ball. What's going on? What's that? The kids are going to learn just from playing and from the coach and the atmosphere. And if you just support them as parents, they're going to feel so much more comfortable. And I'm sure all of you have experienced this, but to me, it's really profound, the impact that my parents had on me just by backing off and letting me play and letting me figure things out.
A serious comment with a sense of humor.
Yeah. Look, don't take it from me. Take it from Steve Kerr. I mean, he's got 3 championships on it. This parents are, and it's not going to get better. That's I try to be as optimistic as I can.
Is this
I try to
different from the youth sports you grew up in and the culture that was in?
I guess it was out there, and then I'm playing in it as opposed to overseeing it now as a referee and a parent and all that. And of course now, social media wasn't out there. I mean, we had the proverbial no cell phones, no cable, none of the things that you guys have now. So it's hard to gauge. Are you just is it more incidents out there, or is it just that more incidents are being shown, you know, as opposed to when we were growing up?
That incident you were just referring to before the break was what that wasn't recorded, right?
Right.
That's your own anecdote, right?
Yeah,
from gyms all across the country that's happening.
Yeah.
You know, so
as opposed to back in our day,
tough call.
There's more opportunity to play. So there's more opportunity. There's more opportunity for people to get out of character.
Right.
So because there was nowhere near there's 5 times, 6 times, 10 times more ball than what we had. Opportunity to play.
And you just say, what are the key differences between now and then is the organization. So if you're just playing pickup games in the park, then your mom's not out there watching you.
No, you're gone. She's glad to get you out of the house. You know what I mean? And so that's
okay.
It is what it is. Yeah. But Kurt put it out there. Take it from him.
He would know.
Yeah, he would know. I know, but he's a legend. He's got 3 rings in his pocket.
So, what is Black Youth's blind devotion to basketball?
All in.
Is it a blind devotion?
Yes, because like that's why I started. Nonprofit before I bit off more than I can chew, but it didn't manifest itself the way I wanted it to. But yeah, it's blind. I mean, you got blinders on because you don't see any way of getting out of your environment. Your parents don't see any way of getting out of the environment outside of that ball of football sports. So you have blinders on. You don't see anything. You don't see an opportunity. White kids can go and work in their daddy's business during the summers, or when they have that choice of, well, do I want to accept this scholarship at a D2, or do I want to go to Maryland and not play? Well, they got that option to choose.
Right.
A city kid, Maryland's offering scholarship, you gone. You know what I mean? That's where you gonna play. Or a smaller school. So they've got those kind of. They got access. And so we get our blinders on, and because of the family situation, mom's in it too. If you like the game, and you think it, she's all in, and she doesn't know. I mean, daddy might resurface. And again, I'm not trying to speak ill of my community. I love it, but the numbers are what they are. And a lot of times it's parents, mothers raising these boys, and they don't understand. They don't understand the real deal. They probably got other sisters and younger kids.
They may see it as their only way.
The only way. So it's the blinders on every level, and then you get the hangers on and entourages of, oh, he's going to be the man. Oh, look at him. Look at the hops he's got at 10. What are you talking about? So it becomes blinders all in, and you need that focus. You need that discipline, but there's also plenty of time in the day for you to get your studies. There's also plenty of time. And the other thing, like I said, with exposure, which comes through AAU, you expose other things. Hey, wait a minute. I like that. I might want to do that. The cameraman thing, the scenario I was painting you. I might want to be a general manager. I might want to become a beat reporter, and cover the Wizards or cover the Lakers and so forth. So those opportunities are few and farther between, so you can just get that blind in, and it's all in for basketball. 17-year-old, you didn't get a scholarship. Now what are you? Just a playground legend.
Do you think that travel basketball, AU sports, this kind of basketball culture that has been developed over the last couple decades, do you think that is affecting kids in their academics?
It always has. The NCAA is just trying to change some things, and they've tinkered with requirement eligibility. It's all good. I remember, and I'm going way back in time, but I know folk in the audience know what I'm talking about. Arthur Ashe said, and I disagreed with him when he said, when Proposition was in 42, and again, without going into details, that was raising the bar for the standards to get into college. And people saying, the outcry when the black community was that, oh, that's ridiculous. You can have probably, I think it was 42 or 40, I can't remember the exact number. But basically, it was raising standards to be eligible to play athletic sports. Arthur Ashe was saying, the black community was saying, oh, that's ridiculous. That's racist. It's just trying to keep us, deny us opportunities. Arthur Ashe said, let's do this. That's fine. We need to raise the bar. We need to raise the bar educationally. We need to set a higher standard for ourselves academically. And sure enough, Proposition 42, they came and they raised the bar, and we met it. So and they've raised the standards again. we met them. So yeah, we see that's the thing that makes me so mad when you got to be an athlete. You can be both.
Yeah.
Why are we doing that to our own people of saying that it's an either or? It's not an either or. You can do both. You can do both. We can excel. We can do what we want to do.
Right.
Matter of fact, I see that as being stereotyping, that we can only play ball. No, sir. We can play ball. We can sell in classroom. We can graduate, and we can come back into the community or wherever you want to go to be what you want to be. I resent that comment.
Yeah.
I resent that comment. And now you really got me started because white folk community will tell you in a minute the black athlete is the best athlete, but they will not let you say the black athlete is the smarter athlete. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, you can play, you can entertain, and you can do you can dance, but you can't take a knee, and you are the best athlete. But they ain't gonna say you're the smartest athlete. So, and then we fall prey to that, you know. No, we can do both.
What do you think we can do as a community to just better this entire culture?
Of basketball?
As basketball, and especially travel basketball. We didn't get to talk much about it, but you speak a lot about the ills and the pitfalls of AAU, and the negative potential it does have, even though it is organized basketball as a whole. Is full of great people and great coaches, leaders. Parents, but there's still that element. So what is it that we can do, or what do you see that we can do as a culture to kind of shift that back in our power?
Good question. The NCAA's even made changes, which I'm not going to go into because it's still under construction of like trying to take AAU from the AAU people and AAU coaches and give it back to the high school coach, which offers another set of problems. But it's got to be trust, one, of reaching out. There's got to be good coaches, got to be mentoring. People have to be willing to talk to people and get an honest assessment of where their child is and where they're going. You get so many factions and so many entourages saying, we want him, we got to have him, and so forth. That's going to be an ongoing fight, and the only way it goes. That's why I wrote these books, to try to get people to see, to educate themselves. The biggest one I say, and using this venue that we have here today, is tell people educate yourself. Educate yourself. Talk to people. Talk to people in the community. Talk to people that you can trust, and try to understand this dilemma. And again, stop putting limits on what you can do or what your son and daughter can attain.
I tell people that all the time.
Yeah,
there's no one has ever told you can't do anything. And if someone has told you that, they're not you. They're just not you. And if it is you, then you need to reassess.
Come on.
Because you can do anything you want.
Thank you.
That's one of the points I try to make to people.
Yep.
So, well, in summary, for the folks that may be tuning in the last couple minutes here, what are some of the hard truths or the tough truths about AAU, AAU parents, athletes?
Yep. The biggest one for the numbers. It's not. For example, 500,000 kids are playing basketball in this country. High school basketball.
High school basketball.
Now I'm talking about from freshman to senior. So then you say, okay, maybe 200,000 are going to the next level. But let's just say 500,000 are there. Do you know that there's 353 teams playing Division I basketball? Now let's just say, I think they have. So this is for multiple places. There's more scholarships, but let's just say for 10. So that's 3,500 scholarships at the D1 level. Now I'm not talking about 2 and 3. You do the math.
3,500.
That's 3,500 scholarships.
$500,000.
And look, and of those scholarships, they all aren't available every year because you're not graduating an entire team. You got 3 or 4 guys going. So that number's actually cut in half.
Yeah.
So you're really talking about 1,500 at the D1 level.
For
that's a small
kids.
That's going to the 7-Eleven and putting on the lottery and playing the mega lottery that's up to $363 million, whatever it is now. So now with that number, why would you want to put your son in that and just hope for that? That's what I'm saying. Keep your eyes open to D2, D3, other opportunities, and also stress the education. Stress you can be both.
Exploring your interests.
You can be both. You know, there's also academic scholarships out there.
Absolutely.
You can go to a program and walk on. You know, which I did. So and earn a scholarship. So that's the biggest one that you got to understand. That's a very, very tight number. And that's no reason to not try, because the same people that tell a kid, "Oh, don't fill your scholarship," then you can't get there. But yet you would tell that kid, if he says, "I want to be president," you would say, "Oh, go ahead, Johnny. Go ahead, John." How many black presidents we had?
One.
Okay. So yeah, that's nonsense to say that's too big a dream. The NBA, forget about it. But if I said I want to be, Johnny said you want to be a president of the United States, go for it. Well, I don't understand.
Right.
Both of that's longer odds than trying to get to the league or get a scholarship. So,
with the scholarships numbers, being uneven. Obviously, we just said 30, maybe 1,500 scholarships for 500,000 kids.
Yeah.
What do you think about what LeVar Ball is doing with the JVA?
I admire him as an entrepreneur.
Do you think it has any potential?
No. It's too much ball. It's too much ball. The kids he's trying to get kids that are either messed up in school, got kicked off the team, got in trouble in the streets and so forth, which is all well and good. But I'm not sure what kind of market he's reaching out to. I don't know who's going to fund him. I know he's got his shoe. I just don't see how it can survive, because the NBA has gone to their minor leagues now. You still got the colleges out there. There's a lot. You got Europe out there.
What do you think about the theory of it?
A second chance. There's nothing wrong with a second chance, but I'm not so sure. Yeah, I'm not so sure how it's going to fly. And brother out there, he's the epitome of going out there and trying to do something else and just playing ball. He's on top of that. I'm so mad at what he did to his kids, especially the middle one, who he said had major opportunities to be a D1 player. He can't play. He can't play college basketball because he signed with a pro team. He did right by one son, but the other two, I think, got caught up in his ego. But I ain't mad at the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's his parenting. I'm not going to criticize parenting.
Right. Well, where can they find these books?
That one you got to. They're on Amazon and both are on the internet. African American Images produced them with the publisher, and you go on their website. They're out of Chicago.
African American Images.
African American Images .com out of Chicago. You can go there, and if you tell them on the show, tell them to give you a discount on the books, and both of them are there in their library. They publish both books. They're out of Chicago. Jawanja Kajufu, who does a lot of work with education, and he's written over 20, 25 books. He published them, and they're available there. It's funny. The books are, I don't know how much time we have left, but the books, they were tough. The first one, I had no concept. All I know was on my heart to try to educate some folks.
What made you want to write a book? Because from that point, you were an athlete.
I was refereeing, and again, I just saw so much intensity and venom to games that people are going to forget by Monday. They forget what happened on Friday night's game in the AAU circuit. But I had no idea. All I know was on my heart, and to start writing here. And then I talked to people that were authors, and it's just magic. I call it not magic. I call it the Lord helped me. Whenever I said I needed something, next thing I knew, I was writing a book, and I said, you know what? I need to talk to a former player at college, and go to church one Sunday, and there was Dwayne Simpkins. He was sitting in the pew behind me, and I had dinner. I said I need to talk to somebody about the book, and I talked to somebody at the School of Wharton, and so things just came together, and I just kept on going. I didn't have the title. I didn't know what a manuscript was, and that's what I'm talking about, not boxing yourself in. So you learn. I didn't know what a manuscript was. I didn't know how to find a publishing house. I didn't know anything. All I know, I had something on my heart that I want to get out. And to all the people that are thinking about writing a book, if it's in your heart to do it, the first thing I say, don't worry about diction and chapters and writing prose like you're Steinbeck or somebody. Get from here to here. Get it from here to here.
Right.
And it'll come together. Don't even worry about the title change of both these books almost a week before they went to print.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So don't lock in. Right. You got editors and people like that. Once you find a publisher, or if you do it on yourself, that will put it together and say, hey, chapter 1 should be chapter 8, chapter 6 should be chapter 3, and get all that done. Get it from here and here and do your research. And they just came together, man. And the greatest tribute, I remember Monica graduated from Georgetown. We were on campus taking pictures. A couple of guys came up. Didn't you write the book? Man, that warmed my heart. I wanted to cry.
Great. Yeah, that's gotta feel great.
Wanted to cry.
That's gotta feel great.
And then I didn't know I had this one in my heart, but but somebody else pushed me. Coach Reese pushed me, and I did a second one. I'm done though.
Well, you can find these books at, what was the publishing house?
African American Images.
African American Images. They're also on Amazon.
Yep.
That's Hooked on Hoops: The Understanding the Black Youth's Blind Devotion to Basketball and Playing Time. Tough truths about basketball, youth sports, parents, and athletes. Thank you for joining me on my show today.
Enjoyed it.
Really appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
You guys can check out our other 2 episodes, again, with actor Clifton Powell and former ambassador of international religious freedom, Dr. Susan Johnson Cook, on our Book It Now Facebook page, or go to our YouTube page, Book It Now TV. If you would like to be on the show, remember, you can go to our website, www.bookitnowtv.com, for more details. Again, this has been a great episode. I want to thank you all for joining me. And remember, if no one has told you that they love you today, remember that I do, and I always will. God bless you. Good night.